standing for Jesus, standing in the gap for family and friends, standing in the gap, one love for all, so we all can make it in. Standing in the gap, standing for Jesus, standing in the gap for family and friends, standing in the gap, one love for all, so we all can make it in. Studying to show ourselves approved, rightly dividing the word of truth, increasing our faith to envision our freedom, so we all can glorify our God.
Now, also, we have in support of the Great Commission that Christ gave us to spread the gospel to all ends of the world, we have instituted part of our broadcast that we call the Gap News. And the Gap News is to keep us apprised of current events so we can apply the gospel to the current events that we have today, not just reflecting on what may have happened 2,000 years ago. And this has become a very popular segment of the broadcast. And Marble is in charge of that, and Marble picks the subjects and all that from current events, and always something going on in current events. So I'm just going to turn this over to Marble to let you know what she has for you in the Gap News.
I'm back. You know, y'all, this world, especially in the United States of America right now, it's moving at bullet train speed. I actually had selected a topic for today. That's a very important topic, and everybody wants to know about it. And then, what happened? Signalgate. Boom.
The president was clear. Green light. But we soon make clear to Egypt and Europe what we expect in return. We also need to figure out how to enforce such a requirement. E.g., if Europe doesn't remunerate, then what? If the US successfully restores freedom of navigation at great cost, there needs to be some further economic gain extracted in return.
Agree. Team update. Time now. 1144 ET. Weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM. We are a go for mission launch. 1215 ET. F-18's launch. First strike package. 1345. Trigger-based F-18 first strike window starts. Target terrorist is at his known location, so should be on time. Also, strike drones launch. MQ-9s. 1410. More F-18s launch. Second strike package. 1415. Strike drones on target. This is when the first bombs will definitely drop, pending earlier trigger-based targets. 1536. F-18 second strike starts. Also, first sea-based Tomahawks launched. More to follow per timeline. We are currently clean on OPSEC. Godspeed to our warriors.
I will say a prayer for victory.
VP, building collapsed. Had multiple positive ID. Pete, Kurilla, the IC, amazing job.
What?
Typing too fast. The first target, their top missile guy, we had positive ID of him walking into his girlfriend's building and it's now collapsed.
Excellent.
A good start.
Good job, Pete, and your team.
The team and MAL did a great job as well.
Great work all. Powerful start.
CENTCOM is on point. Great job all. More strikes ongoing for hours tonight, and will provide full initial report tomorrow. But on time, on target, and good readouts so far.
Kudos to all, most particularly those in theater and CENTCOM. Really great. God bless. Great work and effects.
We are back with more breaking news on this Wednesday, as we have just learned that The Atlantic has released the entire Signal group chat that featured senior national security officials from the Trump administration, apparently showcasing that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth provided the exact times of warplane launches, strike packages, and targets before the men and women flying those attacks against Yemen's Houthis this month on behalf of the United States were airborne. We have been following this story for the last couple of days. One of the big breaking news stories of this week. The Associated Press reporting that the disclosure follows 2 intense days during which President Trump's senior-most cabinet members of his intelligence and defense agencies have struggled to explain how details that current and former U.S. officials have said would have been classified wound up on an unclassified Signal chat that included Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg. Hegseth has refused to say whether he posted classified information onto Signal. He is traveling in the Indo-Pacific and to date has only scoffed at questions, saying that he'd not, quote, revealed war plans. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe told members of the Senate Intelligence Committee just yesterday, that's Tuesday, that it was up to Secretary Hegseth to determine whether the information he was posting was classified or not. Now, what was revealed was jaw-dropping in its specificity and includes the type of information that is kept to a very close hold to protect the operational security of a military strike.
The President and National Security Advisor Waltz held a press conference yesterday with a clear message. It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a Signal chat with high-level national security principals, having a policy discussion about imminent strikes against the Houthis and the effects of the strike. National Security Advisor has taken full responsibility for this. But as the President National Security Advisor stated, no classified information was shared. There were no sources, methods, locations, or war plans that were shared.
Well, the idea that this information, if it was presented to our committee, would not be classified, y'all know is a lie. That's ridiculous. I've seen things much less sensitive be presented to us with high classification. And to say that it isn't is a lie to the country. I want to ask the generals now. The NSA is principally in charge of intercepting things like signals intelligence from other countries. General, I want to ask you, if your organization, your agency, intercepted something like this from Russia or China or some other country, would you consider this classified information?
Representative, we would be classifying based off of our sources and methods.
But if you did your job and collected it from the Russian Foreign Ministry and the National Security Advisor and the Secretary of Defense and the President's Chief Advisor, there is no way, having sat on this committee for 9 years, that somebody would come in with that information and give us something that says unclassified, you can walk out of this room with this information and give it to whomever you want. You know, with all respect, you and I worked on the committee at the same time. Tulsi, you and I came in together. I've never had an issue of beef with you. John, you and I are both from Texas. Y'all know that's a lie. It's a lie to the country.
In this situation, those are operational details.
They are operational details, but again, as you quoted the DoD instruction, it's about operations. So as you further go down into what are the operational details, I think as we had a discussion yesterday, the important aspect, I think all of us are very familiar.
This is classified information. This is classified information. It's a weapon system, as well as sequence of strikes, as well as details about the operations. And so I think that just piggybacking off of what some other members have said, using the DoD's manual as well as the executive order in operation today with the Trump administration, this text message is clearly classified information. Secretary Hegseth has disclosed military plans as well as classified information. He needs to resign immediately. He needs to resign immediately, and a full investigation needs to be undertaken with regard to whether other similar Signal chats are occurring in this administration.
Director Gabbard, I want to direct your attention again to the text chain where it says, just confirmed with CENTCOM, we are a go for mission launch. Does that indicate to you that there is about to be a military operation?
Yes.
Director Gabbard, earlier in this hearing, we heard about the DoD's classification standards. I want to now turn my attention to your classification standards. You're the Director of National Intelligence. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence classification guide says, quote, information providing indication or advance warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing for an attack, end quote, is to be classified as top secret. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Director Gabbard, have the Houthis indicated an ability to shoot down American aircraft?
Yes.
They have in fact done so, haven't they?
Yes.
Including MQ-9 Reapers, haven't they?
That's correct.
And that was one of the systems used in the attack recently that's the subject of this discussion, is it not?
Correct.
I spent my life in service to this country. I deployed 3 times to combat in service to this nation. I learned in that time in service that responsibility is core to leadership. You accept responsibility when things go wrong. You admit mistakes. You set the standard from the very top. It is completely outrageous to me that administration officials come before us today with impunity, no acceptance of responsibility, excuse after excuse after excuse, while we send our men and women downrange to do incredibly difficult, incredibly dangerous things on our behalf. And yet, nobody is willing to come to us and say this was wrong. This was a breach of security and we won't do it again. It is outrageous and it is a leadership failure, and that's why Secretary Hegseth, who undoubtedly transmitted classified, sensitive operational information via this chain, must resign immediately. There can be no fixes, there can be no corrections until there is accountability, and I'm calling on the administration to move forward with accountability.
Hegseth is doing a great job. He had nothing to do with this. Hegseth. How do you bring Hegseth into it? He had nothing to do. Look, it's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works. I think Signal could be defective, to be honest with you. And I think that's what we have to, because you use Signal and we use Signal and everybody uses Signal, but it could be a defective platform, and we're going to have to find that out.
Maybe Signal is defective. Maybe that's what it is, huh? Maybe that's what it is. These cabinet officials sat in a congressional hearing under oath and lied. Sister Monica said they all lied. And I like the way Sister Michelle said it, just like the congressman. Y'all know that's a lie. Y'all know that's a lie. Now, what's the matter with this situation? Just let's delve into what's the problem with transmitting. Okay, he said, Pete Hegseth said, those weren't war plans. Whatever you want to call it, when you say in 2 hours, we're going to launch planes at a certain destination and drop bombs at a certain time, and you do that on a text chat that's not secured in any way. What you call that, honey?
Well, you know what I'm thinking is that the games white people play, you know. I mean, it's like they know they're lying, and I always say they lie to your face.
Lie to your face.
And then want you to believe it or act like you believe it, and is totally insulting, and it's totally wrong. I'm gonna have to revisit the scriptures that I put up in previous studies, which talk about liars.
All liars.
And what happens to all liars? No difference between
Mm.
little lies and big lies and all that. God has this thing about you liars. And you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. And there are all kind of things. And he puts it right up there with almost every other sin. Right out there at the top. So if they want to play the lies that people play, then go ahead. And they're going to. I mean, they don't care. I mean, they lie to your face.
And then, okay, so that's called perjury, what they did. That's what you call that, which is a crime that should be indicted and prosecuted. And in this case, everybody saw them doing it. It should be convicted. But Pam Bondi says she don't see nothing wrong with anything any of them did, and she's not going to pursue any kind of legal anything.
She's the attorney general, right?
She's the one that's supposed to do something.
She's supposed
Sister
to
Michelle said they ate that
laws.
committee up.
Supposed to protect the laws, but she's not going to do it. So
No, because it's because of who it is.
right.
Because of who it is. But and then so y'all saw the little AI chat where they were showing after the government, the cabinet personnel said that Jeff Goldberg's story was a lie. He said, well, okay, let me just show you this. And he put the whole transcript out there. He did. I think he did redact somebody's name because one of their sources, where they're saying there's no sources, one of their sources was named in that chat also. But he put the whole thing out there. And then CNN put an AI, I guess, what did you call it? But they put the AI voices to the chat that it was there. And I mean, I just showed you a portion of it, just the portion where basically they were talking about, we're doing this and we want somebody to pay us. That's number one. Our government never was a for-profit organization until Donald Trump and Elon Musk took over. But now somebody got to pay us for everything we do. And then we can do this. It's totally against the law. Get up in front of the congressional committee and perjure ourselves and act like this isn't a big deal. Did you see in that transcript where it said, we saw the guy that we were targeting and he went into his girlfriend's building and the building collapsed? What that's telling you, people, is that they killed civilians on purpose. So, you talk about Putin and how terrible he is. They killed civilians on purpose. Okay. You got anything else you want to say, honey?
No. Liars. Bunch of liars.
Liars.
And they'll reap what they sow. All right. Thank you for that.
Whoa. I got one. Okay. I didn't get any more comments from people, but so that is some very good information. You got the transcript, you got the lies on tape, and you got no accountability, no nothing. That's our government, y'all.
Well, they voted for it. And all those who stayed at home, you voted for it too.
Yeah, you did.
So now you got to deal with it. Don't forget who's in charge, though.
God is still the one on throne.
All right. Thank you for GAT News. We've been going through this study as we talked about the black church. And it lasted over into last month, which was Black History Month. And then we found out how the Trump administration is trying to do away with Black History Month. We don't need Black History Month and all that. So we have to be in charge of our own history and make sure that it's never erased, that it's always around. So in reference to them wanting to get rid of Black History Month, I'm declaring Black History Year. And what that means is if there's a Black History year, then every year, every day is going to be Black History. So we want to focus, we are focusing on Black history. And as Marvel said, Black history is American history. And it's also mirrors Black church